There are prospects. Then there are generational prospects. And then there's whatever Victor Wembanyama is, because generational doesn't even cover it anymore. The word scouts kept reaching for was different. Unprecedented, once in a lifetime, once in basketball history, once in human history. LeBron James called him an alien. Giannis said he had never seen anything like him. Kevin Durant said the league was in trouble. These aren't hyperbolic fans. These are three of the greatest basketball players who ever lived. And they were talking about a teenager playing in France. So what happens when the most hyped prospect in NBA history actually shows up? What happens when the alien actually lands? This is that story. Victor Wembanyama didn't come from a basketball factory. He didn't grow up in a gym in Los Angeles or a AAU pipeline in Atlanta. He came from Le Chesnay, a suburb outside Paris, France. A kid who was always too tall, always too long, always moving like someone had accidentally placed a guard's brain inside a center's body and forgot to tell anyone. By the time he was a teenager, playing in the Euro League, widely considered the second best competition in the world, scouts weren't just watching him. They were building their entire offseason around him. His numbers didn't even look overwhelming at first. Under 10 points per game, around 18 minutes a night. The kind of stat line that wouldn't turn heads in a box score. But the stats were missing the point entirely. Because at 7'4", Wembanyama was pulling up for threes off the dribble, running pick and roll, blocking shots at the rim, then bringing the ball up the floor 2 seconds later. Nobody that size was supposed to move like that. Nobody that size had ever moved like that. NBA front offices had been tracking him since he was 15 years old. By the time he was 18, the 2023 draft wasn't a draft class. It was a race. One race for one player. And then the FIBA U19 World Cup happened. 8 blocks against Team USA. 8. At that point, the generational prospect label stopped sounding crazy and started sounding like an understatement. The San Antonio Spurs won the lottery. The same franchise that turned David Robinson into a champion. The same franchise that handed Tim Duncan a dynasty. They had done this before, but they were also one of the youngest, least talented teams in basketball. Not built to win, not close to winning. And the hype didn't care about any of that. By opening night of the 2023 season, the entire league had one question. Could anyone this hyped actually live up to it? His debut against Dallas was solid. 15 points, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks. Fine. Not an earthquake. Fine. But a week later, he exploded for 38 points and 10 rebounds against Phoenix. One of only 3 teenagers in NBA history with a 35-point, 10-rebound, multi-block game. The other 2 were LeBron James and Kevin Durant. A few nights after that, he recorded 8 blocks against Memphis. Only David Robinson and Tim Duncan had done that as Spurs rookies. In December, 21 points and 20 rebounds against Chicago, the youngest player in NBA history to record a 2020 game. The records started piling up faster than anyone could track them, but the numbers still weren't the real story. The real story was what he looked like doing it. Blocking jump shots without leaving the floor. Recovering from the paint to the corner in a single step. Hitting step-back threes at 7'4" like he was 6 feet tall and had been doing it his whole life. There's a moment you notice with truly special players. It's not a statistic. It's a feeling that the game has tilted. That the normal rules don't apply when this person is on the floor. Wembanyama gave you that feeling his rookie year. He finished averaging 3.6 blocks per game. The youngest player ever to lead the NBA in blocks. He won Rookie of the Year unanimously, first team All-Defense, and he was still 19 years old. The Spurs finished 22-60. Nobody cared. By year 2, Defenses had done their homework. Teams doubled him earlier. They bodied him in the post. They forced him away from his spots, made him uncomfortable. For a few weeks, it looked like scouting reports might slow him down. Then, on October 31st, he recorded his second career 5x5 game. 25 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 steals, 5 blocks. Only Hakeem Olajuwon and Andrei Kirilenko had ever done that multiple times. He followed it days later with 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 blocks against the Clippers. Then, in mid-November, he scored 50 against Washington. 8 threes, 50 points, one of the youngest players in NBA history to hit that number. The scouting reports weren't slowing him down. They were making him angry. And the defense was something else entirely. At the rim, shots that normally fell nearly 68% of the time dropped below 47% when Wembanyama contested them. Guards hesitated at the three-point line just knowing he could get there. Big men turned away from the basket instead of challenging him. Some possessions ended without a shot attempt, not because of good defense, because of the threat of him. When Wemby was on the floor, the Spurs looked like a playoff team. When he sat, they looked like one of the worst teams in the league. And then, in February, everything stopped. A blood clot in his shoulder. Season over, 46 games. Just like that. The timing was brutal. The worry was real. And the hype somehow kept growing. Year 3. San Antonio finally built something around him. De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell. For the first time in his career, Wembanyama wasn't being asked to carry everything. He was being placed in situations where he could fully control the game. He spent 10 days at the Shaolin Temple in China before the season. Martial arts, balance, flexibility, body control. That detail sounds almost too on brand. And from opening night, the jump was undeniable. 40 points, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks against Dallas on opening night. The highest scoring season opener in Spurs franchise history. He followed it with a stat line nobody in NBA history had ever produced. 35 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 blocks, 5 made threes in the same game. The scary part? It stopped feeling surprising. Wemby is a problem. When I say I'm the best two-way player in the league, I'm not counting Wemby. He's not even human. Throughout the season, he averaged around 24 points per game, double-digit rebounds, and led the league in blocks again. He anchored a defense that completely collapsed whenever he walked to the bench. Multiple 40-point games, including one where he scored 37.5 while playing under 30 minutes. And then came the moment that changed everything. Late in the season, Phoenix, sellout crowd, tie games with seconds left. The Spurs were down 1. Under 11 seconds, San Antonio cleared the floor. One dribble, fadeaway jumper. 1.1 seconds remaining. Good. 34 points, 12 rebounds. The Spurs' first playoff appearance in 6 years. After the game, Wembanyama explained his thinking. You want to shoot it with 1 or 2 seconds left. That way, if you miss, your team still has a chance at the rebound. And if you make it, they don't have enough time. That's not a 22-year-old talking. That's a veteran superstar. The Spurs had gone 20-2 since February. Suddenly, the rebuild didn't look like a rebuild anymore. At the end of the regular season, the votes came in. Unanimous. Defensive Player of the Year. Every single first-place vote. The first unanimous winner in years. And it wasn't even a debate. He contests more than 8 shots at the rim per game. He leads the league in blocks. He leads the league in blocks 10 feet in the air, literally getting to shots other defenders physically cannot reach. Opponents attempt around 45 shots per 100 possessions in the paint when Wemby plays. When he sits, that number jumps past 52. He doesn't just protect the rim, he protects everything. Guards don't attack. Bigs don't post up. Coaches don't draw up plays into his area anymore. A unanimous Defensive Player of the Year at 22 years old. The hardware was real. The validation was real. And the playoffs were just getting started. Nobody gave San Antonio a chance. The Oklahoma City Thunder were supposed to win the championship this year. Everyone said so. Vegas said so. The analysts said so. They were defending champions, loaded with talent, deep at every position, and playing the most efficient basketball in the Western Conference. They were the favorite. They were supposed to be the obstacle nobody could move. Wembanyama moved them. The series was physical. OKC brought size, switching, and a defensive scheme specifically designed to make San Antonio uncomfortable. They had beaten everyone with it. They had won a championship with it. But they had never seen anything like this. Game 1, Wembanyama posted 31 points and 11 blocks. 11 in a playoff game. The Thunder adjusted, went smaller, tried to push tempo and pull him away from the basket. He just switched onto guards and kept blocking shots in the open court too. Game 3, down 2 in the series. The Spurs needed a response. Wembanyama delivered 40 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 blocks. The kind of performance that shifts a series. The kind of performance that shifts a narrative. By Game 6, Oklahoma City's offense looked nothing like the juggernaut that had terrorized the league all season. Their pick-and-roll numbers were down. Their paint attempts were down. Their entire offensive identity was being systematically dismantled by one player. San Antonio closed it out. The defending champions eliminated by a 22-year-old and a team nobody believed in. The basketball world stopped and stared. Now, the Spurs are going to the NBA Finals. New York City, the Knicks, Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the world. And the question the entire sport is asking right now is simple. Will the alien take over New York? Because this is how legacies are made. Not in the regular season, not in the statistical footnotes, not in the highlight compilations, in the finals. LeBron's first finals, Dirk's run, Kobe and Shaq in their prime. Those were the moments that defined careers and started the conversations that never end. Victor Wembanyama is 22 years old, standing on the edge of that conversation. The Knicks have their own weapons. Their crowd is the loudest in basketball. MSG in June is something different entirely. But consider what Wembanyama has already done to get here. He came in as the most hyped prospect in NBA history and didn't flinch. He led the league in blocks 3 straight years. He won Defensive Player of the Year unanimously. He ended a 6-year playoff drought with a fadeaway game winner. He eliminated the defending champions. He's been here for 3 years and it already feels like he's been here forever. Here's the thing about historic NBA prospects. Most of them take unexpected turns. Greg Oden, best center prospect since Tim Duncan, 105 NBA games. Derrick Rose, youngest MVP in NBA history at 21, ACL. Then the career was never the same. Zion Williamson, unstoppable when healthy. The when healthy part never went away. Since 2000, there's really only one player the hype was this enormous for and who somehow still exceeded it. LeBron James. Sports Illustrated called him the chosen one before he ever played an NBA game. 4 MVPs, multiple championships, the all-time scoring record. And even LeBron needed time. Victor Wembanyama is 22 years old. Barely over 100 NBA games into his career, still adding strength, still learning angles, still improving, and he's already in the finals. A 7'4" player who wins Defensive Player of the Year unanimously, who contests shots 10 feet in the air, who can switch onto guards, run the pick and roll, hit the step back three, and drop a no-look pass in traffic. Who eliminated the best team in basketball, who is one series away from a championship before his 22nd birthday. He's the most dominant defensive player I've ever seen. That's not a take. That's a consensus. So the question isn't whether Wembanyama is great. The question is whether New York can stop what San Antonio couldn't be stopped from building. And based on everything we've seen over 3 years, the records, the performances, the moments, the stone-cold calm fadeaway with 1.1 seconds left, the answer probably isn't promising for whoever lines up across from him. The alien landed in San Antonio 3 years ago. He won Rookie of the Year. He won Defensive Player of the Year. He ended a rebuild and started a dynasty. Now he's going to New York, the most famous stage in basketball. And we're about to find out if the takeover is just beginning.